Welcome to today's deep dive. We are really thrilled to have you here with us, the learner.
Yeah, it is great to be here with you.
It's Wednesday, March 11th, 2026, and we have something just truly unique on the docket today. We're looking at a highly stylized, deeply researched document titled The Lion.pdf, and it contains this incredible synthesis of the life, the anatomical genius, and the revolutionary yoga method of BKS Iyengar.
Right.
But the framing is completely unexpected. I mean, it is out there.
It really is. It's an incredibly creative mechanism for delivering historical and biomechanical information. Absolutely.
That is an understatement. These detailed historical facts and biomechanical breakdowns are entirely interwoven with the running commentary of a literal ancient dragon named Zoran.
A literal dragon.
Yeah, Zoran. And Zoran observes us modern humans from his, mythic vantage point, offering what you could only really describe as relentless, tough love.
And it works, right? Because the contrast is just so sharp. By utilizing the voice of an unyielding, practically immortal creature, the document highlights the profound physical frailty and the structural missteps of the modern human condition.
Exactly.
Yet it grounds all that mythological commentary in the very real, very rigorous discipline of Iyengar's actual life's work.
Yes, and our mission for this deep dive is to extract those core insights. We are going to explore how Iyengar transformed from a frail, sickly child into a master architect of the human body. We'll examine why his obsessive principles of precision are highly relevant for your daily life today, and how you can use his teachings to forge your own inner fire in a world completely saturated by digital distractions.
It's a journey.
Okay, let's unpack this.
To truly grasp the magnitude of the Iyengar method, you have to understand the crucible he was formed in. The reality of BKS Iyengar's genesis completely shatters the archetypal image we hold of yoga masters.
It really does. I think the common assumption is that legendary yogis are naturally robust, impossibly flexible people who were born ready to drop into full lotus on a Himalayan peak.
Right, like it's just innate.
Exactly. But Iyengar was the absolute antithesis of that. Zoran the dragon actually refers to him in the text as a sickly hatchling.
It is a harsh assessment from a dragon, but historically it's accurate. He was born in 1918 in the village of Bilur, India.
Yeah.
This was a period of intense, widespread poverty, and he was the 11th of 13 children. His childhood was not characterized by spiritual seeking. It was a brutal, relentless litany of severe illnesses. You're talking about surviving malaria, typhoid, and tuberculosis.
And the physical toll of those diseases, I mean, it just cannot be overstated. Malaria brings cyclical, depleting fevers. Tuberculosis literally scars and diminishes the capacity of the lungs.
It destroys the tissue.
Right. Add chronic malnutrition to that, and the fact that he caught the Spanish flu when he was only 5 years old. His early years were a constant daily dance with death. He famously noted that he was more dead than alive.
His chest was sunken, his limbs were frail, and his body was entirely ravaged.
Which is precisely what makes his trajectory so incredible. At the age of 15, this incredibly frail, weak teenager was sent to live with his brother-in-law, Sri T. Krishnamacharya, in Mysore.
A huge name in yoga.
Krishnamacharya is a monumental figure, often called the father of modern yoga. But he was known as a fiercely stern, highly demanding teacher.
He certainly didn't coddle young Iyengar. He pushed him past the brink. And this is a crucial distinction for you, the learner, to internalize today. Iyengar didn't turn to this practice because he wanted a trendy workout or because he was chasing an ethereal spiritual high.
Not at all.
He was thrust into this as a desperate bare-knuckle fight for basic physical survival.
What's fascinating here is that very desperation is exactly what forged his entire globally recognized methodology. He had to use his own broken, fragile body as a living laboratory.
He simply did not have the luxury of a casual, sloppy practice. Every single breath, every physical extension was a highly calculated battle to reclaim his cellular health. This brings in a core yogic concept from the text.
The concept of vyadi.
Exactly. The reality of yadi, which means disease or physical ailment, being methodically burned away by tapas, which translates to intense, fiery discipline.
He had to use that fiery discipline to rebuild his physiology from scratch, and it prompts a deep reflection on our own lives. Think about how often our greatest, most unshakable strengths are actually born directly out of our deepest vulnerabilities.
It's a universal truth.
It is. Iyengar's profound empathy for people with physical limitations, for the stiff and the injured, birthed a method of practice that is entirely accessible. He mapped the body so meticulously because he intimately knew the geography of weakness.
I knew it intimately, yes. And because he had to reconstruct his own structural integrity with such painstaking care, he developed an unparalleled, almost microscopic understanding of human anatomy, which leads directly into his legendary obsessive focus on geometric alignment.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The alignment is where Zoran the Dragon's commentary gets particularly poignant. The dragon's perspective on this is actually quite humbling.
It's pretty funny, too.
It is. He looks at our modern posture and essentially diagnoses us with a structural failure. He notes how we spend our days hunched over glowing rectangles and walk around like wilted lettuce.
Wilted lettuce.
Oh.
It is a striking visual and unfortunately a highly accurate biomechanical assessment of the modern era. We spend the vast majority of our waking hours actively compromising our own structural integrity.
And Zoran offers this fantastic analogy to explain Iyengar's philosophy on alignment. The dragon points out that if his own wing is off by even a single inch during flight, the aerodynamics fail completely and he falls from the sky.
Right. Gravity takes over.
It is a literal matter of life and death for a flying creature. For Iyengar, the geometric alignment of the human temple is treated with that exact same level of critical urgency.
Because it is the core of his biomechanical revolution. Iyengar did not view a posture as a superficial shape you merely mimic. He viewed it as a highly complex interplay of physical forces and vectors.
Yeah.
It is entirely about load-bearing and structural integrity.
Physics.
Pure physics. If you build a physical structure with a crooked foundation, it will inevitably collapse under its own weight or sheer force. The human skeletal system operates under the exact same laws of physics.
The level of specific anatomical detail he demanded goes so far beyond just, stand up straight. He demanded that you consciously distribute your weight evenly through the 4 distinct corners of your feet.
Yep.
Or actively lifting the kneecaps. And this isn't just a cue to look engaged, right? There is a mechanical necessity to lifting that kneecap.
Absolutely. When you lift the kneecap, you are actively engaging the quadriceps.
Yeah.
By firing the quads, you pull the kneecap upward into its proper alignment within the femoral groove. If you don't engage the quadriceps and you just lock your knee backward, the patella grinds against the cartilage, and over time, you destroy the joint. Iyengar understood this long before modern sports medicine caught up. He demanded muscular engagement to create space and protect the joints.
Another incredibly specific cue mentioned in the text is drawing the skin from the heel to the outer ankle. Which, it sounds almost absurd at first.
It does sound like micromanaging.
Right. But wait, if the ultimate goal of the yogic path is samadhi, complete liberation from the ego and the physical self, doesn't this intense microscopic obsession with the physical body contradict that? It sounds like you're just trading one vanity for another. Why obsess over the skin on your heel?
It does seem paradoxical at first glance.
Yeah.
But you aren't obsessing over the physical body for the sake of vanity. You are mastering it so you can finally transcend it. That cue about the heel isn't really about the skin.
Okay, what is it about?
It is about activating the lateral fascial line of the leg. By drawing that outer edge up, you prevent the arches of the feet from collapsing inward, which prevents the knees from knocking together, which prevents the pelvis from tilting, which prevents the lower back from compressing.
It's a kinetic chain.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You are sealing the tiny structural leaks. In the yogic tradition, misalignments in the body are viewed as cracks in a dam. Proper geometric alignment certainly protects your joints, but energetically it creates what is called sthira, or unwavering stability.
Sthira.
Yes. When the physical container is perfectly stable and structurally sound, prana, the vital life force energy, can flow entirely unimpeded through the nervous system. If you are collapsed like wilted lettuce, you are physically crimping the hose of your own vitality.
That structural reality perfectly sets up Iyengar's next major innovation. Because if a body is already damaged or stiff or built like wilted lettuce, it cannot just magically snap into perfect geometric alignment.
No, it's impossible.
It is physically impossible without external leverage. And humans, as Zoran is quick to point out, suffer from a massive ego problem when it comes to needing help.
We certainly do. There's a deep psychological resistance to using modifications. We tend to view assistance as a sign of weakness or failure.
But Iyengar looked at that limitation and completely changed the paradigm. He invented the systematic use of yoga props, and he faced significant pushback for this, didn't he?
He faced immense criticism. You have to remember the historical context here. In India during the 1930s and 40s, yoga was largely viewed as a strict ascetic discipline.
Very traditional.
Very. The idea of bringing a wooden brick or a canvas strap into the practice space was seen by traditionalists as a dilution of the discipline, perhaps even a desecration. It was scandalous to suggest that the practice should accommodate the body, rather than forcing the body to accommodate the practice.
But he did it anyway because he observed his own profound physical limitations, and he watched his students struggling, straining, and risking serious injury just to force themselves into an aesthetic shape.
Which defeats the purpose.
Exactly. So he started pulling in everyday household items, bricks from a construction site, heavy blankets, parts of a bicycle, everyday furniture. He essentially democratized the entire practice.
He did. The props detailed in the source, the blocks, belts, bolsters, and wall ropes, they're standard issue now, but they were a radical intervention then.
Zoran's critique of our human ego here is incredibly sharp. He essentially scoffs at our resistance, pointing out that we are so fragile yet so proud that we refuse to use a wooden brick to find our own center.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, these props are not crutches for a failing body. They are described beautifully in the text as catalysts, as wooden allies, and as scaffolding for the soul.
Scaffolding for the soul, I love that.
Think about the function of scaffolding. It supports a building externally while the internal structure is being built or repaired. Props allow a stiff, weak, or injured body to experience the exact, correct biomechanical action of a pose without any of the dangerous strain.
You use the block to bring the floor up to your hand so your spine can remain perfectly straight, rather than rounding your back and compressing your spinal discs just to stroke your ego and touch the mat.
Precisely.
For you listening, this is a massive shift in perspective. It is a sign of deep intelligence, not weakness, to leverage the tools available to you to bridge the gap between your current reality and your ultimate potential. You have to use the scaffolding to build the temple.
And once the nervous system learns what the correct alignment feels like and the muscle memory is established, the scaffolding can naturally fall away.
So what does this all mean? We have this incredible survival instinct, the genius of microscopic anatomical alignment, and the brilliant invention of wooden allies. But what is the ultimate end game of all this meticulous stretching and propping? Is it really just to have exceptional posture while we answer emails?
Far from it. This is where the physical rigor transcends into deep philosophical territory. Iyengar's intense focus on the physical body was merely the gateway.
The gateway to what?
The physical form is utilized as a highly tuned instrument to access the mind and ultimately the soul.
To map this out, we need to look at Patanjali's framework, which the source goes into. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras outline the 8 limbs of yoga. And it turns out the physical postures, the asana, and the breath control pranayama are just 2 rungs on an 8-rung ladder.
They are just the preparatory stages. The journey is often conceptualized through the 5 koshas, or the 5 sheaths of being.
Like layers of an onion?
Exactly like that.
Hey.
The outermost layer is the Annamaya kosha, the physical body made of flesh and bone. Most people spend their entire lives solely focused on maintaining or polishing this outer shell. But the practice demands that you penetrate deeper.
Moving inward from the physical body, you encounter the energy body, the pranamaya kosha, which is regulated by the breath. Then you hit the mental body, the manomaya kosha, where your thoughts, anxieties, and emotions reside.
It gets heavier as you go in.
Deeper still is the intellectual or wisdom body, the vijnanamaya kosha. And finally, at the absolute core, you reach the anandamaya kosha, the bliss body.
The difficulty, however, is that there is immense friction between these layers. People often hit a massive wall when trying to move from the energy body to the mental body.
Why is that wall there?
Because the manomaya kosha is inherently chaotic. It is constantly reacting to stimuli, generating anxieties, and holding on to past traumas. You cannot simply command the mental body to be still. It will fight you.
And this is exactly where Iyengar's physical alignment solves that specific bottleneck. How does aligning your kneecap help you bypass a chaotic mind?
It's meditation in action.
Right. By forcing your brain to focus on 10 different, highly specific micro-adjustments at once, engaging the quadriceps, tracking the patella, spreading the metatarsals, drawing up the lateral fascia, you deliberately overwhelm the distracting centers of your brain.
You give the mind a very specific job.
The chattering monkeys of the mind are silenced because your cognitive bandwidth is entirely consumed by maintaining the physical geometry.
That is the precise mechanism. You physically cannot spiral into anxiety about an upcoming meeting while you are consciously engaging the 4 corners of your feet and regulating the exact volume of your inhale.
You just don't have the bandwidth.
Right. The physical discipline forces your consciousness entirely into the present moment. It burns away the internal friction. The body becomes a finely tuned, perfectly aligned instrument. And only when the instrument is perfectly in tune can it resonate with the Atman, the true eternal self.
You use the gross physical form to hack the subtle spiritual form. It's brilliant. But Zoran the Dragon isn't going to let us just sit back and marvel at the elegant philosophy. Zoran demands that we actually step into the arena. We have to face the dragon trials.
The trials are immediate, practical applications of everything we've discussed. They are designed to force you to experience this alignment and focus right now.
And they are beautifully simple. The first trial is Tadasana mountain pose. But it isn't just standing there. You stand up, you root your feet, and you simply notice the micro adjustments.
Right, you tune in.
You close your eyes and feel the subtle, constant sway of your own body as it negotiates with gravity. You realize that standing perfectly still is not passive. It is an incredibly dynamic, active process of constant recalibration.
It brings immediate, localized awareness to your structural foundation. The second trial elevates this cognitive focus by introducing Virabhadrasana second, Warrior Two Popo pose, paired with the vital concept of drishti.
Drishti being the focused, unwavering gaze.
Correct. We live in an environment where our eyes are constantly darting between screens, pop-ups, and fragmented media. Our visual focus is entirely fractured, which fractures the mind.
Absolutely.
Drishti demands that you bind your eyes to a single point in space. In Warrior 2, you lock your gaze on the tip of your middle finger extended over your front arm. By anchoring your visual focus, you anchor your wandering thoughts. Where the eyes go, the mind follows.
It is an immediate antidote to visual overstimulation. And then there is the final trial, which is arguably the most difficult for modern humans. Savasana, the corpse pose.
The profound challenge of lying perfectly still.
Just lying flat on your back on the floor, doing absolutely nothing but observing the breath. We are so deeply conditioned to be consuming, scrolling, or producing at all times.
I can't turn it off.
The cognitive difficulty of simply lying still and observing the life force moving through you is immense. It is an act of total rebellion against the digital noise.
And that is the challenge we extend to you, the learner. You don't need a studio to begin. Try just one of these trials today. When you are standing in line, check your structural integrity. Are you wilted lettuce or are you actively rooted?
Right.
When you are working, practice drishti by fixing your gaze for 1 solid minute to anchor your thoughts. Or lie still on the floor for 5 minutes and observe the friction in your own mind. Leverage these tools.
Take back control of your own physical and mental geometry. Looking back at the entirety of this deep dive, it is a truly staggering narrative.
It really is.
We followed BKS Iyengar from a frail, dying child to a master architect who meticulously mapped the human body. He demanded absolute structural integrity, faced down historical purists to invent wooden allies for our physical limitations, and gave us the exact mechanical blueprint to bypass our own chaotic minds.
This raises an important question. If perfectly aligning our physical bodies with such microscopic, obsessive precision can actually silence the anxieties of the mind and build unbreakable resilience, what happens when we apply that exact same geometric precision to our digital lives?
Oh, that's good.
What does true structural integrity look like when applied to your daily schedule, your attention span, or your media consumption?
That is a phenomenal question. Where are the leaks in your digital alignment, and what kind of scaffolding do you need to build a stronger framework for your attention? Let that thought simmer today. Embrace the wooden allies, straighten out that wilted lettuce, and stoke your inner fire. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.